Statistics will tell us that someone watching this is an addict and they are struggling. So I will talk to you for one moment. If you are an addict and you are struggling, you are not alone. There are 3 principles that were so important, if I didn't practice them on a daily basis, I wouldn't live. They told me I had to practice rigorous authenticity, I had to surrender the outcome, and I had to do uncomfortable work. This story is about why addiction is the entire reason for my success. When I went out into the real world, I would always wear a mask. I took that mask and the other 16 I've been carrying around my entire life and threw them away and knew the freedom of just wearing my face. So let's look at this through a different lens. Superheroes, they're everywhere. You can't watch a movie or TV without running into a superhero. We're obsessed with them. They're strong. They have powers that we don't have. We love it when they save the world for us. But yet, superheroes have to hide their identity. They too have to wear a mask. I mean, Superman can't tell the world that he's Clark Kent and that he's in love with Lois Lane. But we root on for him to save the world. What does that say about us? When I was young, my superhero wasn't Superman. It was a CEO, and I became an addict instead. Puking blood, lying, stealing, and stay high. I didn't know these 3 principles could make my dream come true. But then again, how could I? According to the University of Massachusetts, in a study, 60% of adults can't go 10 minutes without telling a lie. That means that we grow up in a world where the majority of the people around us are practicing the opposite of authenticity every 10 minutes. And yet we idolize superheroes, we hide our true selves, and we put CEOs on a pedestal. And yeah, I became one, but it's not because I was trying to be. I was just an addict trying to stay alive. I was just trying to be authentic, surrender the outcome, and do uncomfortable work. In fact, I didn't even start out that way. In the meeting, I tried to impress people. But I found out that being authentic was impressive. Out in the real world, I thought I had to try and hide my true self. But I was told surrender the outcome, and I got the job on the spot. In corporate America, when I thought that these 3 principles would hold me back, I was promoted 8 times in 8 years because of them. And as an entrepreneur with everything on the line, and one decision being the difference between success and failure, when everything told me I had to lie in order for us to be successful, we practiced these 3 principles and we built an industry-changing company on top of them. And that's the thing about addicts. We either focus on getting high or we focus on these 3 principles. It's that simple. Focus on the thing that kills us or focus on the thing that saves us. After 15 years clean and being in recovery, I still call myself an addict. And that's because I will always be an addict. I have no choice. That is forever. But every day I get to choose whether I'm in recovery and whether I practice these 3 principles. Statistics will tell us that someone watching this is an addict and they are struggling. So I will talk to you for one moment. If you are an addict and you are struggling, you are not alone. You are not alone. Today during this event, millions of addicts around the world will go to a meeting and they will practice being authentic and surrendering the outcome and doing uncomfortable work. And if you can join them, you don't ever have to use again. And the thing that is the worst thing about you can become the best thing about you. And 16 years ago, my daily habit was to use alcohol and drugs from the minute I woke up to the minute I passed out at night. All I wanted to do was get and stay high. I was kicked out of school, couldn't keep a job, I was kicked out of my house. I didn't even have any money, and so the only money I could get was what I stole from my friends. I didn't even have a belt. I had to use a piece of rope to hold my pants up. And my story is not unique. 46% of adults say they have a friend or family member that's addicted to alcohol or drugs. And that was me. And I truly believed that I would be dead by the time I was 30. So I know after saying all this, what I'm about to propose is going to sound a bit confusing. Addicts aren't like everybody else. We use all the time or we can't use it all. So we have to do recovery the same way, every single day. This story is about why addiction is the entire reason for my success. And so for me, my story starts in 12-step recovery, and I went to meetings. And what we do in meetings is we share. When I got there, I wanted to be the best addict, so I shared to impress everybody, and I pretended that I'd mastered these 3 principles even though I didn't understand them. Well, after months of this, one time I came into the meeting with so much pain, I knew if I didn't share real, I would relapse. And so I shared vulnerably, emotionally, messy. I was all over the place. It was the opposite of impressive. After the meeting, another addict came up to me. His name was Tim. He was a guy with 15 years clean, and he was a biker with a goatee. He was a little intimidating. And he said, Mike, that was the best share you've ever done. I was like, Tim, dude, that was the worst share I've ever done. What are you talking about, man? He's like, no, that was the first real share that you've ever done. That's what we do here. Keep doing that and you'll stay clean. That was the first time anyone had ever told me being authentic was impressive. It was also the first time I stood that close to a man in head-to-toe Harley leather. I didn't even know that they made clothes. How to become a drug addict to find that out. So it was one thing to practice these principles in the meetings. It was another thing to do it out in the real world. And when I got clean, I also entered a halfway house. And when I walked in, the house manager told me that I had 5 business days to get a job or they would kick me out. Now I'm sitting there and I'm wondering, what is a business day? Because I'm an addict, I don't know. And then I started thinking, I haven't had a job in 3 years. How am I gonna find one in 5 days? But I went looking and I saw an opening at a Sam Goody. And so I applied, and in my application, I left the last 3 years blank because I was pretty sure if I wrote I did a lot of drugs, they weren't gonna give me the job. Back at the halfway house, I call my sponsor because I'm worried about the interview, and I say, what am I gonna tell them when they ask me about the 3-year gap in my resume? And he said, Mike, it's really simple. Tell them the truth. Okay. I was like, Chuck, I love your commitment to these 3 principles, man. That's great in the meetings, but we're out in the real world, buddy. If I tell them I'm an addict, I'm not gonna get the job and I'll be out in the street, so what do I say? And he said, Mike, this isn't about the job. It's not even about the halfway house. It's about, are you willing to be authentic, surrender the outcome, and do uncomfortable work no matter what? This is about, do you want to stay clean? And so I walked into the job interview and I told the truth. At the end of the interview, the manager said, when can you start? People will see that when you practice these 3 principles, you are living differently. And then if you want to be a leader, they will want to follow you, because in a world where these 3 principles are optional, they will see that for you, they aren't business decisions. These 3 principles are living decisions. And they will want to follow you. You won't just survive, you will thrive. Imagine a future. How could our world change? How would your job change? How would our lives change? For everybody else, I'm here to say these 3 principles are available to us all. Addicts have no unique claim on them. We have a unique incentive. If we don't practice them, we die. And we have a place to go to practice. But any leader can practice these. So the question is, if you're a leader, how committed are you to practicing these 3 principles? Or maybe the better question is for the rest of us, why would we follow anyone who wasn't?